Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your Raw review. I just got done doing an update video for New Year's and what to expect from this channel in 2018. And I stand by everything I said in that video, but what a coincidence. The moment I say that the WWE reviews are not going anywhere, they got to go right ahead and hit us with a crappy show right off the bat. How do you want to start off the year for your company? Do you want to do something major maybe to shift the landscape, to get people excited for the new year? Oh, maybe the product is finally changing. Oh, maybe they're going to take a new direction. Maybe they're going to try to finally draw in some new fans. And sure enough, none of what I just said happened on this show. As bland and as boring as it's ever been, probably even blander. So we start off, so we're going to get Alexa Bliss and Asuka. Something that kind of seems like it would be a WrestleMania match, but they'll probably end up doing another multi-woman match like they always do. So we've got Asuka and Bliss set for tonight. It's not for the title. Um, Bliss is arguing with Angle. He says the match is going to happen. Then we get our first in-ring promo. Angle comes out talking about the rules to the Women's Royal Rumble. It's going to be the same rules for the men. I thought that's what it was. I didn't think that they were going to, chintz out and give us, being thrown through the middle rope like they've done with certain battle royals in the past. So we're gonna get, and it bugs me now hearing this. I'm going to enter the men's Royal Rumble. We are hearing this tonight from fuckboy Balor, and I'm entering the men's Royal Rumble. Like, well, no, you're gonna enter the women's Royal Rumble. Like, it sounds ridiculous. This is the women's Royal Rumble. This is the men's Royal Rumble. So it's like you don't need to tell us that this is like the women's one, and they keep they're referring it to as the men's. So we don't need to really know that we don't think that any women are obviously going to be in it because the Chinas and the Beth Phoenixes and all the really tough girls are gone. They're long gone. They're not coming back. So you don't need to tell us that what gender is going to be in each specific Rumble match. That sounded a bit ridiculous to me. We had Cesaro and Sheamus coming out complaining that they were robbed last week. This brings out Jason Jordan. Seth Rollins comes out to complain in his whiny voice. I can't even tell you. Used to hear I was happy when Rollins won the title in 2015. I says, he deserved it and all that crap. And now, something, I disagree with myself now. Rollins is just very dislikable now. This baby face, uh, gimmick, can we even call it that? This baby face persona of Seth Rollins is simply not working. He is probably the worst, like, plainest, most generic baby face. Jason Jordan tries harder than him to come across as more likable. He seems even tougher than Rollins, for God's sakes. Every single time Rollins comes out, I cringe. He is cringe worthy to the max. That's all I could say. Every line of speech, I don't know if it's what's being written for him. I know I say it's not their fault with the verbiage, but it's just that voice on Rollins and just the factor of his voice, and every single time he comes out, I can't stand the guy. I really just can't stand him. Um, we got Jason Jordan in the match with Cesaro. It leads into decent enough match between these guys, and I'm just really not understanding the whole Seth Rollins, Jason Jordan thing. It's like we're supposed to have a Shield reunion. I get it. Ambrose might be injured in real life. I think at least. But we're not even getting any more involvement besides one brief backstage skit with Roman and Seth Rollins. What happened to the Shield? What what happened to the Shield reboot? We're already getting away from that already. You know, Rollins is still coming out with his "Burn It Down" music. Like I've said, it's like they can't even stay focused. We want to do a Shield reunion. I mean, what are they just going to basically fizzle this out eventually? I don't understand what they're doing. And Jason Jordan, you know, they want to. He said it last week in his promo. You want to like take this guy to the top. They took him out of a tag team on SmackDown to do this whole thing on Raw just to put him in a tag team again. Like I don't understand the direction of what they're doing with their characters. You know, you're 1 minute you're a singles wrestler, the next minute you're a tag wrestler. 1 minute you're a world champion, the next minute you're a secondary mid carder. I mean, how ridiculous really is it when you think of how they just throw people around on the card? You know, you don't even really get a clear consensus of who's a big star and who's just, you know, a somewhat of a star, who's a mid carder, who's a main eventer. Uh, they all just look like aimless personalities, really. You know, they don't equal personalities. They don't even try to build their personalities. Like, I'm still trying to figure out, like, 3 years later, who is Seth Rollins? Who is this guy? You know, we started to learn a little bit about him as a heel. He's selfish. He's a big mouth. We get that. But as a baby face, who is he as a person? You know, he wanted to re-earn the trust of the crowd, but I mean, Seth Rollins, like, oh, what you do affects us as a team. I'm like, well, how? You know, he's out there by himself. I don't really know how it affects him. I don't get any of the dialogue that they write nowadays. It's just like they don't even know what they're doing. They send these guys out there to say the most ridiculous things, and they have no directions. You know, and don't they ever stop and think for 1 minute? Why are we not making new stars? Why exactly is nobody really getting over? Could it be that, you know, they don't know when to just cut the reins on these guys and just let them go? Instead of having them go out there and cut these ridiculous scripted promos with some of the lamest dialogue I ever heard, why not let these guys go out there really and, you know, just kind of cut loose in a way, you know, within parameters, of course, but none of these guys ever really find their niche on the roster. Like I'm saying, but like, why am I supposed to like Seth Rollins besides him being a good wrestler? Like everybody likes to say, what is it about Rollins? He doesn't really look like much, you know. Does he look like a star? No. This is not exactly a guy that looks like Batista or looks like Stone Cold or looks like The Rock, you know, where the guy could just be generally accepted as a star based on when he first comes out. So, you know, they're just kind of taking the crowd for granted. Like, oh, this is Rollins and you should like him because he's Seth Rollins. And, you know, we don't even really know what we're supposed to, you know, he's the architect. Okay, well, you know, I get it. They say he built the Shield. Well, now the Shield, well, we thought it was getting back together, but now it's in some sort of weird halfway reunion, kind of like not even giving a shit anymore. So I'm not even sure if he's still in the Shield or somewhat, you know, in it. They really haven't even made up their mind when it comes to that. So, you know, they're all over the place on this show. 1 minute he's with Jason Jordan, next minute he's with Roman Reigns. We're just dancing all over the place on this card, and we're just left confused. And I've said it in the past. Why did they have to make this like rocket science? We don't know who's on whose side. We don't know, you know, who's allied with who. Why should we even have to think this deeply about a show? You know, I feel like I have to get the abacus out. Oh, you know, push this to this side because that's Rollins, and this that side because this is a, you know, Jason Jordan. Are they still on the show? I don't know. I could go on all day about how this show is just all over the place. You know, with characters we don't even care about eating up so much airtime. I see a glimmer of hope in Jason Jordan, but it's like they're almost trying to bury the guy on purpose, you know, but they gave him a title, so you can't even say it's really like burying him that much. But they're not letting the guy grow, prosper as a character. Uh, anyway, Bray Wyatt defeated Apollo Cruz. Um, here's another thing. Like they want to do this whole thing with Dana Brooke as a statistician and shit, but they don't even give her enough time to establish a character. Uh, they could come up with so many funny skits for Titus O'Neil with his personality, but once they're just throwing them out here in a match, we don't even know. And my God, like I'm not even sure I like that whole thing about Dana Brooke going off the ring apron backwards. If he was like out of place, Titus, the girl could have cracked her head right on the fucking floor. I mean, just a really unnecessary looking spot there. Um, Bray Wyatt hits the Sister Abigail on Apollo Cruz. I like what they did after the match with Matt Hardy. That I will praise him. We're back with the same background again, but this time they had Matt laughing, and then they kind of like made it like they cut the screen into four. They did a split screen, and then they did four Matt Hardys, and then pretty soon there was like 100 Matt Hardys. All like it. I liked what they were doing with the split screens. I thought it was a very simplistic but funny way of doing it. And they showed Bray Wyatt getting all freaked out. I just wish that, if you've got something is over, the crowd is loving Matt Hardy, why not give him more than a minute on this show? When you have something that over, why just dedicate a minute of it? Oh, we'll wait till next week to see what happens. You dedicate so much time to these boring ass matches. Like, you have Apollo Cruz and Bray Wyatt wrestling, which nobody's even interested in. And you've got Jason Jordan wrestling Cesaro in a long format match. Why not dedicate more time, and come up with a better skit for Matt Hardy? You could still do the split screen stuff, but how about giving him a second segment of the night? I mean, I know that's unheard of, right? God forbid a wrestler appears more than once on a show. That's only reserved for certain people. I understand that's also a little bit how it was back in the day as well. You'd have some guys only appearing once, but those were the guys who weren't that over. Obviously, I take a look at who's the most over on this show, and I see Braun Strowman. I hear it. Matt Hardy. Not a lot of others, but I hear those strong crowd reactions for those two guys. So, but Matt Hardy's only appearing for a minute on a show. And I feel that is probably the most ridiculous, confusing thing that they could possibly do. When you've got something that over, why just dedicate such a small section of the show for it and then move on to something less over and less interesting? Alexa Bliss was backstage trying to convince Nia Jax to come out with her for her match. Bliss wanted to visit Enzo because I think in reality he actually does have the flu. Man, they're having one hell of a time with this cruiserweight title match, aren't they? They've been going on forever with this. Rich Swann gets arrested, so now he can't face Enzo. That now it's supposed to be Cedric Alexander. Now Enzo is sick. I mean, this is a real mess. And didn't it? Kalisto wasn't even supposed to win the cruiserweight title. It was going to be Neville. Neville walked out. Kalisto ended up winning the title. Then Enzo won it back, and what a mess, really. This cruiserweight title, the past couple of months, I mean, it's been on one hell of a ride. And I can't help but feel, what happened to Enzo in his in-ring promos. I mean, I know I get it, he's sick on this particular night, but what happened to Enzo with Kurt Angle in these, big 10-minute segments on Raw and allowing Enzo to get a chance to really get over with the crowd and really look like a big star? I guess it's because the internet whined a little bit too much. Oh, he's too entertaining, get him off. I've never seen such a big bunch of babies, complaining about Enzo being the Cruiserweight champ. When you look at the, do you really want Cedric out? Let me ask you guys a question here. Do you really want Cedric Alexander as the Cruiserweight champion? This boring nobody who can barely even talk. You really want this? Oh, he's got a cool finisher. Oh, by all means, make him the Universal Champion. The guy's, he's got a cool finisher, guys. That's enough fuel to the fire of making him a champion. I mean, really, is that what you guys want? Enzo is actually a guy that has a unique look. He's great on the mic. He comes out, he gets a strong reaction. But the thing is, I hope that the WWE is not seeing this as like a negative thing, because I have noticed they have taken. It's like the same thing with Alexa Bliss. All of a sudden, they just realized that she's been the champion. What happened? Like I'm saying, a couple of months ago, both Enzo and Bliss were getting massive heat, and it was working. They would come out, they would cut promos, they would get heat on themselves, and all was right with the world, or as well as it could be in WWE. I've just noticed that. So Bliss is going to Nia Jax is going to tend to Enzo. Then we get Asuka, the female Naka Murphy, and Alexa Bliss, and here we go with this. So we're being told that we have to accept Asuka is over. We have to say that she's great, she's amazing, that she's the best woman in the division. And I am pretty sure that she is going to win the Royal Rumble, which is not going to be that impressive. Let me ask a question. How are we even going to have this Rumble? I mean, it's going to be chock full of a lot of NXT jobbers. I mean, they don't have anywhere close to 30 women. They have about 8 on SmackDown, maybe about the same amount for Raw. So what is that, 16? Are they going to put Dana Brooke in there, who's now just a manager? They're just going to keep throwing these people in there one after the other. And you're going to have one hell of a disappointing Rumble. I mean, honestly, guys, let me ask a question here. Are we really going to have to sit there at the Rumble and watch 2-hour-long matches? One that is obviously going to be vastly inferior to the other. I'm sure hot off the heels of the Raw 25th anniversary, we'll probably get a couple of former former big stars in the Royal Rumble match like we normally do. I don't think there were too many surprises in last year's Rumble, but perhaps they'll make up for it. But in the women's Royal Rumble, they'll probably have a surprise. They might throw in Lita. They might contact somebody from the past, which would be exciting and everything. But it's not going to have that same grit. It's like somebody from the men's side coming in. And right away, we're going to get sexist. Oh my God, bro, sexist for saying this about, go ahead, thumbs down the video. Do what you got to do to get your point across, because I'm going to get my point across finally how this is a bad idea, if I haven't already, to you guys. It's just, first of all, it's overkill. They don't need their own Royal Rumble. I know, this is the women's revolution, and we got to make everything equal here, and we got to be super politically correct. But enough is enough already. We're going to have a 6-hour-long pay-per-view here, for God's sakes. So what, is the Royal Rumble now going to be 4 hours? I don't see how we're going to have a world title match and an undercard. Are any titles going to be on the line besides the Universal title? You're probably going to have the U.S. Championship finals. You'll probably have a WWE Championship match as well. So this pay-per-view is obviously going to be 4 hours, because how are they going to get through 2 Rumble matches? Unless the women are going to come in a lot quicker. I mean, what is it, 90 seconds now for the men's Royal Rumble? This is going to be one long-ass pay-per-view. All I got to say is please find some way to make this entertaining. Please do not have me and everybody else sit there for several hours being tormented by a pay-per-view that seemingly will not end. But I've got a big feeling inside it is going to be exactly that way. So Asuka gets the win here against Bliss. Good God Almighty, there you go, jobbing out Bliss again, far more entertaining. So you've got the girl that could wrestle, the girl who could talk, the girl who's got the look. Fans are behind her mostly. If the internet doesn't think that she's great with promos, at least they think she's hot. One way or the other, she's over, right? Asuka, it's pretty obvious that, and I keep on explaining this to people, NXT has a very small audience. What, 500 people, whatever it is. It's a Ring of Honor size crowd. It is very small. You're going to bring that same wrestler out and expect the same exact reaction when you don't even put any effort in explaining who she is. They have not taken any step to building character around this girl. And there's probably ways that they could do that. I mean, think about it. They could work on her entrance instead of those stupid masks. Could you imagine if, like, maybe some Japanese style parade or something comes at something to get her over? Something big, something, she can talk. Instead, all I've been hearing lately is, "You're not ready for Asuka." This is all I'm hearing, from her. It's like the only word she knows how to speak in English. So don't act confused when you say, "Oh, people are not appreciating Asuka." It's not that they're not appreciating her. They don't have a reason to give a shit about her because there's no reason to get behind her. We already have a Nakamurphy. He's on SmackDown. And I'm looking at the kicks. She's kicking like Bliss in the head and shit like this. Didn't we already have one Japanese knucklehead, injuring somebody, breaking their face apart on Raw last week? You're really going to bring out another Japanese wrestler and having them work a stiff-ass match, this time with your champion? Okay, it was Brian Kendrick last week. I know you don't really care about that guy. Oh, he's a jobber. Okay, then. So now we've got the champion, Alexa Bliss, the champion that's obviously going to face the winner of this Rumble match. So we're going through all this trouble. So it's a pretty important belt to them, right? So we're going to risk injuring the champion right before WrestleMania by having her get kicked in the head. I mean, and you already saw Paige getting kicked in the fucking head. And that could have been it. Paige could have been dead right there, really, when you think about it. All it takes is one ill-timed kick, ill-placed kick, and it could be over. It could be lights out. That could be it for Paige, and she can never step into a ring again. That's all it could take. And you're going to take the risk of putting her in the ring with Asuka where she's kicking her in the head full force? What is wrong with this company? Like I says, I don't understand where their morals are at. Oh, we have to ban the curb stomp because it could potentially injure somebody. And then we actually have a guy landing the GTS onto Brian Kendrick, and the guy's face looks like fucking chop meat afterwards. And then we're going to go on to the next week, and we're going to have Asuka kick our champion square in the fucking head and risk the same thing happening to Paige. I mean, when is this company going to get a clue? There was a reason why McMahon didn't want to have these Japanese idiots coming in years ago. They tried it with Michinoku, and then they realized, oh, they don't speak English. It's hard to communicate with them. And it sounds ridiculous. We have Asuka and Nakamurphy. Their gimmick is that they're weird and unusual. It's not that they're weird and unusual. It's the simple fact is that they don't speak English. And in English, in the predominantly English-speaking market, this is a bad idea. Because they're actually like displaying them to look like retards. They're just screaming in like broken English, and it sounds retarded. It sounds stupid. It's not appealing. It doesn't make these characters look any better. When are they going to get a clue? Braun Strowman beat Rhino. I mean, Rhino and Slayer are getting a big reaction here. This is what I said. It's like, you know that these guys are over. They were over when they were on SmackDown, so why not do something with them? What happened to Rhino saying to Slater 2 weeks ago, "Oh, come on, let's I'm going to show you the way of, how you could toughen up so we'll get more opportunities on Raw." So instead of that, they're just putting them in matches again. So Angle says they're not going to get any more opportunities, but once again, they're putting them in matches. Rhinos against Strowman, then they turn it into a handicap match, and they're getting cheered. And the announcers, how fucking annoying are these announcers? For the 1000th time, let's start it off with a bit of an announcer's rant here in the Raw review to kick 2018 off right. Corey Graves, Michael Cole, all these goofballs laughing their asses off. Strowman is destroying these guys, lifting them up with power slams, and they're just laughing through the whole thing. Like we're watching a comedy or some shit. I mean, what is wrong with these announcers? What is wrong with Cole? Is that what McMahon is telling them to do in the earpiece? Is he telling them to laugh maniacally at the action in the ring? Quite frankly, it's very annoying. I mean, it's like you're trying to sit there and try to get any type of semblance of enjoyment out of the show, and you've got these knuckleheads laughing. They're just like, it's getting very, very tiresome already. It's the same thing, each week they're like laughing. Oh, we're having a good time. Well, I'm happy you guys are having a good time because I'm not. And in part, it's because of your having a good time, laughing like a bunch of lunatics, not taking the show serious. I'm not saying that the show has to take itself 100% seriously and be a serious wrestling program, but could these announcers maybe get a clue? Go back and look at Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. If you want to be funny, take a look at how the King and Bobby Heenan worked on commentary. How they could be funny and they could get laughs. Not that when they're laughing at themselves and laughing what's going on in the ring, that's a problem. Instead of getting you, the audience, to laugh, they're laughing themselves. You've got a big time problem there. You really do. Kane approached Strowman backstage. They want to make a deal. Nothing comes of this. It's pointless. You have Balor backstage with Angle. Angle says, has he found a partner? And there we go, guys. We've got the Bullet Club back together. Oh, all the New Japan fans just creamed their pants. There you go, guys. Congratulations. WWE once again gives you what you want. You want the Bullet Club. It doesn't matter if they're over or not. It doesn't matter at all. As long as the internet gets what they want at the end of the day, everything is peachy keen, right? We got Roman Reigns defeating Samoa Joe. If Roman Reigns got disqualified, he'd lose the title. He doesn't get disqualified. He wins the match. Okay, I'm really sick of seeing Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns already 1,000 times with this match. Like, cool it already. And Samoa Joe doesn't win. It's obvious they're not going to do anything with this guy. I mean, week after week, it seems like this guy eats 100 more donuts, for God's sakes. I mean, how much fatter is the guy going to get? You're putting Samoa Joe out there among all these other athletes. You're putting him in the ring with Roman Reigns, who looks like $1 million with the movie star looks. And then you've got Samoa Joe with 10 chins and every single week coming out there with an even bigger waistband. I mean, how is he even fitting into those tights anymore? They must be quite elastic, I have to say. Because every week the guy gets fatter and fatter, and it's getting a bit ridiculous, and it's getting a bit disgusting. It's becoming a major turnoff having to look at Joe. And hearing the internet, the YWC constantly putting this guy over is just getting ridiculous already. He is a fat slob for the last time. I mean, really, what happened? All these New Year's resolutions for diets. How about Samoa Joe? Don't you have any New Year's resolutions to maybe lose a couple of pounds there, buddy? All these other wrestlers killing themselves in the gym, and Samoa Joe is continuously putting his hand into the donut box every single goddamn week. Cedric Alexander, Davari, and Gulak. Uh, Cedric Alexander shows his partner. It's Goldust. Goldust has a little backstage segment. All of a sudden, we finally remember that Goldust is a member of the roster. Remember at the beginning of last year or whenever it was, Goldust was supposed to have a what was it, a person that he was going to mentor to the top, and it never happened. What happened to that storyline? It would have been perfect to get somebody over. Instead, he's teaming with Cedric Alexander. He's not even a part of the cruiserweight division. It doesn't even make any sense, but it shows how desperate they are because none of these guys are over. It was just a way of buying time because Enzo's not here this week. This is what it shows me, guys. Can you imagine, even the Enzo haters out there, how boring this division would be without Enzo? I mean, look at this bullshit. That's who you want as your champion, Cedric Alexander, right over there. Look how horrendous this segment was. Listen to this. I mean, the only person that even has a shred of personality is Gulak. And that's usually when he has Enzo around to play off of. This was just, it was horrible. And it was really, really a bad omen if they decide to do the crazy thing and take the title off of Enzo. Balor the Bullet Club versus Elias, and here we go again, burying Elias, and the Miz Taraj. So you got Elias, this guy that looks like a star, sounds like a star. He's in the ring with Cena. It looks right to me. It looks like he belongs in the ring with Cena. Last week, and what do we got this time? Just losing to a bunch of jobbers, a bunch of guys that were popular in Japan, and the home audience probably has no fucking idea what this is. Uh, Anybody who doesn't know about the Bullet Club, and I know you're gonna get the YWC say, "Oh, well, if you don't know about the Bullet Club, then you're a bad wrestling fan." Well, be that as it may, most people are not going to know who the Bullet Club is because nobody's watching. And anybody who saw this is just like, who the hell is the tiny jobber with the really tall bald guy and the generic looking bald guy? It's not going to capture anybody's interest unless you know about their affiliation in New Japan. Nobody is going to give a shit about Balor reuniting with Gallows and Anderson. No one's going to get that same level enjoyment out of it that you are. So try to understand that if you think, once again, this is going to change the wrestling world. Balor's already been exposed. McMahon has already realized that Triple H doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I said this time and time again. Triple H has a big nose, but he has no nose for talent. How could a guy who obviously knows how to get over on the mic, has great promo skills, has this excellent body, he's a great worker, and he's accomplished so much, how could a guy like that get behind a guy like Balor? I'll never get it. And get behind Adam Cole and all these other goofballs, all these other New Japan Ring of Honor rejects. I mean, I'll never get it with Triple H. I mean, you would think that Triple H would have, wouldn't even give these indie guys a time of day. But now he's like kissing the ass of indie fans and, oh, I'm going to give you what you want. It's like a way of almost, saying fuck you to McMahon. After years and years of, guys looking amazing and, having the movie star looks, It's like Triple H wants to go in the other direction and just cater to people. And the funny thing is, like, look at Triple H and look at these guys. Triple H is like, in some cases, nearly 30 years older than some of these guys, almost 25 years older than them. And he looks still amazing at his age. And all these other goofballs look like total horse shit. And it's like, how could he be getting behind these guys so strongly with no charisma, no look to them, nothing at all? They're just good wrestlers. They know how to do a lot of fancy moves in the ring. And Triple H was never about fancy moves. Triple H doesn't even know how to do any of those fancy moves. So why would he get behind guys like this so much? And when did all of a sudden he become such a big New Japan fan? I mean, I thought this was a guy who idolized Ric Flair growing up. Uh, None of these guys have that Ric Flair vibe going on here. Not even an Arn Anderson vibe at that. So I'll never really get where Triple H gets this eye for talent, but obviously his eye for talent needs glasses, and his nose, though very large, doesn't know how to sniff out any good wrestlers. I don't really get what Triple H's deal is. I think that they should probably bring back Laurinaitis. I mean, with that guy, he at least knew what the fuck he was doing. Then you had the last segment of the night. It was Brock Lesnar and Kane. Kane comes out to the ring. He gives the what was it, the tombstone, the choke slam, whatever it was, puts Brock down. Brock sits up. He clotheslines Kane out of the ring. Braun Strowman's nowhere to be found, guys. So that's it. We see Braun, he's got this big title match at the Rumble. He has the conversation. There's going to be some big plan with Kane, and then he doesn't even show up. He doesn't even show up to the big fight at the end. And I'm just left standing. It's like, do they even care anymore? Do they even give one iota of a shit? I mean, honestly. I mean, this was just, it felt very unfulfilling at the end, to say the least, especially when Braun is nowhere to be found, no interaction. It's just like 1 week there's interaction with Braun and Brock, and then, Kane and Braun, but we just can't have all three of them. They're going to save that for the Raw before the Rumble. We all know that. It's obvious to predict that. But I mean, come on already. We're taking a look at this, and this just seems like a very flat way to end Raw. And that's how this was throughout the whole night. It was a very, very bland episode of Raw. I know many people are going to say, "Oh, it was amazing," because we got the Balor Club back together, the Bullet Club, whatever the fuck it's called. I mean, honestly, are we really going to sit there and pretend like this was a good episode of Raw because you guys got your New Japan reference? I'm seeing many people excited about this here in the YWC. I'm not excited. And I'm sorry, guys, but people want to say, "Oh, it's coming. Balor's going to win the Rumble." Guys, save yourselves the disappointment. It is, first of all, Balor is not facing Brock at WrestleMania. McMahon has no interest in losing all that money by putting a plain vanilla jobber in there. Maybe you'll get your Bullet Club flashback bullshit, because that worked out so well for the Shield, right? So, we're going to get that. But, they were going to have Balor and Brock at the Rumble. It didn't happen. So I'll tell you this, if it's not going to happen at the Rumble, it sure as hell ain't going to happen at WrestleMania. You could bet your bottom fucking dollar on that. Because this, with WrestleMania, it doesn't matter what the internet says about that. McMahon is going to do what he wants, and he don't have any faith whatsoever in Finn Balor. Those motherfuckers are not going to be anywhere near a ring. You're lucky if Balor even gets onto the card. I'm being honest about that because I think the party is over for Finn Balor. They're not gonna put this guy anywhere near a title match. It's quite obvious. I think those plans were shafted months and months back. I mean, Balor and Brock just sounds like an idea made up by the most moronic YWCer. I mean, in the darkest corner of the internet. How anybody would frame that as a dream match would have to have some sort of fucking problem with them. I mean, do I really need to go through the whole entire thing again about, how a match looks and the believability of it, of, who's going to be facing who? Anyway, guys, Raw is already off to a bad start. WWE's already off to a bad start. We're supposed to get excited for the Rumble. How can I get excited for a Rumble when I have to look forward to is 2 hour long matches? And I like the Rumble, but a women's Rumble is fucking overkill. Please do not do. Oh my god, guys! Just thinking about this is just alarmingly giving me a headache at this moment. I mean, 2 hour long Royal Rumble matches. Is this really what we needed? Do they really think that having a women's Rumble is going to get the product more over? That people are going to get better enjoyment out of the product? Because it's not. What this product is going to do is drive more people away. Anyway, guys, there you go. This has been your Raw review, your YWC champ, signing out.